You know, it was one of those godforsaken nights in Dustville, Arizona, middle of nowhere, about 3 a.m., the kind of hour where the desert wind howls like it's got secrets it can't keep, and the neon sign at the Rusty Fork Diner flickered like a dying heartbeat, buzzing loud enough to drown out your thoughts. I was there slinging hash browns and burnt coffee. Name's Jamie Thompson, just 22, barely holding it together with a sleeve pulled low over a fresh bruise that throbbed like a bad memory, the kind my stepdad, Vic Harlan, liked to leave as his twisted way of saying family first. And right then, as the graveyard shift dragged on, I whispered to my boss, Earl, under that harsh kitchen light, "You can let me go, but if I head home now, he'll finish what he started." Because Vic wasn't just mean, he was a storm wrapped in a cheap suit, always raging about debts and control, ever since Mom passed and left him thinking he owned us like property. The diner smelled of grease and regret, that sticky mix that clings to your skin long after you clock out. And earlow, he was a piece of work, counting receipts like they were confessions, his eyes narrow and calculating, always short a few bucks he blamed on me. Though we both knew it was his sticky fingers dipping into the till. I didn't argue, just kept flipping eggs, my hands steady from practice, hiding the shakes that came when I thought about Vic waiting at home, his temper fueled by those gambling losses he called bad luck, but really it was his way of keeping me chained paycheck to paycheck, bruise to bruise, because in his mind, I owed him for raising me after Mom, even though all he raised was hell. Outside, the highway stretched empty under a moon that looked bruised itself, and then came that rumble, low and building like distant thunder motorcycles, a pack of them pulling into the lot, chrome glinting under the neon like knives catching light. They rolled in, these guys from the Thunderwolves Biker Club, local chapter out of the high desert, leather vests worn like second skins, and the leader, Jack's Harlano relation to Vic. Thank God set his helmet down with a thud that echoed through the quiet, his eyes scanning the room like he'd seen too many battles to trust an empty booth. Earl straightened up quick, flashing that oily grin, already tallying tips in his head, while I tried to fade into the steam from the grill, invisible as a ghost. But when Earl muttered, "Shift's over, kid, punch out," something in me snapped, that quiet desperation bubbling up, and I turned, voice low but firm. "Fire me if you want, but going home means he kills me tonight." The kitchen froze, spatulas midair, the sizzle of bacon the only sound, and Jax's head tilted, his gaze landing on me like he recognized the fear maybe from his own scars, the ones hidden under tattoos that told stories of barracks and back alleys. Earl blinked, trying to laugh it off. Drama queen, huh? Not my problem. But Jax's hand landed heavy on the punch clock, calm as still water, and he asked, real quiet, "Who's the he waiting at home?" I swallowed hard, the words tasting like bile. "My stepdad. Vic Harlan loves my checks more than breathing. And when they're late, well." I trailed off, but Jax saw it, the way I held my arm, the shadow of purple peeking out, and he nodded slow, like he'd decided something right then. One of the bikers, lean tough as nails with a smile that could cut glass, slid a card across the counter. "Safe spot. No questions, let's move now." And I hesitated, heart pounding, because running meant leaving my little sister behind, thinking I'd ghosted to another state to protect her from Vic's reach. But then those black vans crept in, lights off, circling the lot like Shark's vulture collections. Vic's crew, debt chasers who operated in the gray, badges that weren't quite real, jackets emblazoned with logos that screamed, "Pay up or else." The lead guy sauntered in, flashing that fake authority, looking for Jamie Thompson family debt. "She's collateral." His voice slick with that false politeness that hid the threat, and Earl stepped back quick, but Jax didn't budge, crossing his arms. "People aren't paper. Pals how the docks or walk." The guy's eyes narrowed, crawling over Jax's patches like he was sizing up a fight he thought he'd win. "Cute, biker boy, but her old man's unhappy, and waste ain't his style." Jax's voice dropped, cold and even. "Neither's mine now, get gone before this turns ugly." Outside, sheriff's lights flashed sudden, Lena's quick texts summoning backup, and the collectors backed off with smirks that promised round two, leaving tension thick as smoke. We slipped out the back, me on Jax's bike, wind whipping my hair as we roared to an old warehouse by the dry riverbed, barred windows and shelves stocked with kindness blankets, food, the basics for folks like me who'd hit rock bottom. Lena bandaged my arm, the bruise blooming like storm clouds, and asked soft, "Anyone to call?" "Just my sis," I whispered. "She thinks I'm safe elsewhere." And Jax leaned in the doorway, helmet dangling. "Vic start this after your mom?" "Yeah," I nodded, tears hot. "Controls his drug. Debt just his excuse to tighten the noose." Another biker, Tuck, brought stew, pretending not to see me cry into it, his barbed wire tattoos hiding a softness that surprised me. These weren't the monsters folks whispered about. They were survivors, stitched together by loss, choosing family over blood. Near dawn, my phone buzzed. "Earl, come grab your last check. Paperwork too. No fuss." But Jax peered over, jaw tight. "It's a trap. He's selling you out." I needed that cash. Those forms. Vic could forge my name, bury me in more debt if I vanished. And Lena nodded. "Paper's a double-edged blade. Let's play smart." They sketched a plan on a napkin, blind spots, escape routes, and we rolled out, bikes flanking my borrowed car, clouds heavy like impending judgment. At the rusty fork, Earl waited, grin too wide, pin twitching like a snake's tail. "Didn't figure you'd show, kid." And I shot back, "Told you I don't run," feeling Jax's shadow in the window, watchful. He led me to his office, door clicking shut. Lock it, and his mask dropped. "You stirred up trouble. Vic's offering cash to hold you till he gets here." My blood chilled. "You sold me out." He shrugged, casual cruelty in his eyes. "Business, darlin', death is just part of it." The neon hummed outside, tense as a lit fuse, and then engines roared, windows shaking. Earl's smirk cracked as the door burst open. Jax filling the frame, voice lethal calm. "Walk outside. Easy now." Earl stammered. "Hands up. She's lying. Her stepdad's coming with backup. You don't want this mess." Jax didn't flinch. "Where?" "Northbound." Armed heavy. Earl spilled, and Jax pushed him out into the lot, where the wolves waited in a half circle, dust swirling like judgment. I followed, wind shifting metallic, and then Vic's SUV growled in, black as sin, him stepping out with that gut-leading swagger, grin twisted. Well, drag me out for my own damn property." My jaw locked, but Jax cut in sharp. "Wrong papers, friend, she owes you zilch." Vic waved his ringed hand, dismissive. "You leather clowns don't scare me. She pays or plays." And his goons fanned out, for wide, guns lazy in their grips like bullies testing limits. Earl edged toward Vic, whining. "I held her like you said, we square." Vic barely glanced. Cheap helps disposable. And bam, fired once. Earl crumpling mid-plea, scream cut short. My breath hitched, world tilting, but Jax just tilted his head. "Lost your witness, huh?" Vic snarled. "Don't need Emmy, need her." And everything shattered. His men lunged, but the wolves were lightning, boots crunching gravel, shots cracking against metal, the diner's sign exploding in sparks as I dropped low, ears ringing, smoke choking the air like regret. When the dust settled, 3 of Vic's down, 1 fleeing the ridge, Jax advancing on Vic, whose gun skittered away, twisted, ended. Vic spat, bloodied lip curling. "You think she's yours? She'll betray you like she did me." Jax crouched low, voice a gravel whisper. "She didn't betray you, broke her till she stood tall." Vic's eyes blazed, that final fire of petty tyrants. "You don't know her type, trash." "Survivors," Jax corrected, tossing the gun into the scrub, then turning to me. "Last word yours." I stared down at the man who'd haunted my nights. No words left, stepping back as sirens wailed closer, the wolves revving up, Lena wiping her knife clean. "Leave him breathin'." Jax nodded. "Law gets the scraps, we got roads ahead." By nightfall, the desert cooled, fire pit crackling behind the warehouse, me huddled with knees drawn, silence gentle now, not oppressive. Tuck handed me coffee. "Earned this." And I smiled faint. Breathing free feels weird. Jack sat across, polishing his chain. "Ever cooked just for you?" Shook my head. "Always for others," and he said, "Tomorrow, cook for you, Saskin, not labor." Throat tight, I nodded, imagining routes instead of running, laughter over engines, belonging like a warm coat against the chill. Days blurred, and Jax offered a patch ash and crimson. "Prospect," setting it down. "Wear it or not, no chains here." I stared, Trembling cloth a choice I'd never had. And as the compound hummed with torches and chains, Lena grinned. Smells better like fuel than fear, right? Yeah, and thunder still made me jump, but she shrugged. Means your alive piece ain't weak. That night, rain hammered down, desert turning silver mud, radio crackling warnings of unknown riders, maybe Vic's remnants, and Jax roared out into the storm, headlight piercing, finding 6 bikers idling. Hoods up, leader shouting. Not for blood, Vic's gone. Shot himself after the badges closed in. Jax gripped tight. Why tell? Girl deserves freedom. They faded into the wet night like absolved ghosts. Telling me. I sank onto a stool, palms flat, dead. It's over. Jax nodded, unsure how to comfort someone starved of it. You'll feel lighter once the waiting stops. I pinned the patch that evening, quiet respect rippling through the crew, Lena toasting. To ghosts we outran. Laughter soft, real, and outside, sky clearing, I traced the threads, safety a work in progress, wind whispering like forgiveness. Weeks on, we rode for a kids' charity toy drive for the hospital. The side outsiders never see Ann at a stop. A reporter jabbed a mic. Why bother? Jax nodded my way. She cooks, keeps us grounded to pass it on. I stepped up, steady. They fed me when starved, now we feed back. Dusk painted the sands rose, my reflection in glass showing the vest, calm eyes not prey, just me. Months passed, Dustville buzzing with tales of the cook who rode with outlaws, cleaning up a debt tyrant's rot, and the rusty fork reborn as the copper wing, walls fresh, kitchen mine. The wolves ate Wednesdays, cash and chuckles, Jax at the counter's end, coffee black, glancing up to catch my fearless smile. We'd chat tires, storms, tune small things big enough. Backfires still locked my chest sometimes, healing a twisty road. But Jax lingered now, not just for fights, finding reasons in the calm. Sheriff Reyes dropped a file one eve, vultures folded, feds gutted him, no comeback. I traced the edge, really over? For you? Your call. Jax caught my eye. Light, still cooking tomorrow? If you fake liking veggies. Reyes chuckled out, bell jingling final. Jax leaned back, soft. He's right, you shape what's next. Hands steady, flour dusted. Maybe build something worth roots. He approved with a nod, jukebox crooning blues like shared ache. Storm hit later, lightning stitching sky, power out, but no panic candles flickered, stew simmering propane, scents warm. Jax walked in drenched, watched me. Cook through anything. Storms don't scare now, not after worse. He grinned that survivor grin, and when lights buzzed back, cheers rose, my laugh wide. Free, and he decided then to chase more of it. No vows, just 2 ghosts busters breathing easy. Spring bloomed, wolves opening a garage for teens riding lessons. Wrench turned some slinging burgers next door, no judgments. A kid with a busted lip asked, why patch you if no bike? Stirring chili, families who waits when you fall. He nodded, later returning the wrench polished small sparks of belonging. Jax caught me watching, reminds you. Yummy, before someone saw worth over trouble. He touched the patch, whisper, still do. Wind carried it like benediction. Dawn gold over Dustville, me outside the copper wing. Apron on, bacon and asphalt mingling. New ink on my wrist, an eagle wing over the scar. Fear reclaimed. Engines roared, wolves heading out. Jax slowing, 2-finger salute. I raised coffee. Returned, no fuss, just hard one piece. Town whispered legends. But I had work, kin to feed, name to claim. If this hits you, ever felt trapped, clawed out, tell me below. Was justice served, or vigilantes too far? Share your take on community clashes, right wrong in the gray. Hit like, subscribe, bell on for more real talk tales of grit and grace. What's your story?